Listen, your 20s serve as the foundation of your proverbial financial house, which makes this the time to make mistakes, learn from them, and then go on to build strong financial habits now so that your 30s and beyond can be financially stress-free. If you're new here, I'm Mitchell, and I work in the accounting field, and I recently turned 24 years old, which puts me in my mid-20s, and it got me thinking more broadly about what I've already done in my 20s, as well as what I'd like to be able to say I did by the time I turned 30, which sparked the idea for this video. I was wondering, what are the things those of us in our 20s can do to best set us up for success down the line? So I put together a list based on what I learned. In this video, I'm going to share the 6 money milestones that everybody should accomplish before they turn 30. The first money milestone for people in their 20s is to land a job. This is an important step to take in your 20s for 2 reasons. 1, it gives you a steady stream of income, and 2, it helps you to gain experience. The truth is that to survive as an adult, you need some sort of income coming in so that you can afford life. Getting a job that has a steady stream of income allows you to begin putting the rest of the pieces in the place for your financial habits that you will carry with you through life. With that being said, the second point I made is equally, if not more important, because it helps guide you down the path you want to take for your life. Your 20s are the time when you should start trying out different jobs and seeing what it is you like. Luckily for us, we aren't locked into a career or field just because we start out there. Try things out. If they don't work after a bit, you can always look for something else. Hopefully, this process helps you to hone in on, or at least give you a better idea about what you want to do for a career by the time you reach 30. You want to do this now so that when you do find what it is you like, you can really dig in and establish a reputation for yourself by building experience and evidence for why you are the standout person in that career, field, or subject, which will ultimately lead to more financial success. The reason for this is that people who tend to work longer in one field also tend to earn more working in said field. And now that you have money coming in, the second money milestone for people in their 20s is to pay off your debt. It's likely that if you went to college for any period of time, you probably have student loans. In fact, the average student loan debt in the United States is around $40,000. And even if you didn't go to school, you might find that you have credit card debt or other types of loans such as high interest rate car loans. What we want to be doing at this stage of life is creating a plan to tackle this debt, and hopefully rather quickly. Now, you might ask the question, why should I pay off my student loans that have a 4 to 7% interest rate when I can just put the money in the stock market and get an 8% return? The reason that I personally would do it this way is because you are by no means guaranteed an 8% return on your money. The stock market may have a really bad year, and instead you've lost lots of the money that you invested, whereas if you pay off the student loans, you know you're getting a 4 to 7% return on your money, and it gives you the peace of mind of not having continuous debt payments hanging over your head. Not to mention, if you have credit card debt, which has an average of roughly 24% interest, you are highly unlikely to find an investment that would outpace the interest you're paying on it. Another reason you would want to pay off your debt is that it gives you freedom. You aren't a slave to debt payments every month, which, if you are, may mean taking up a job you don't enjoy just to have enough money to stay afloat. With the freedom that comes from paying off your debt, you have the chance to use your 20s to take bigger risks. You can use your lack of obligations to pursue something different, like a side hustle or a dream. Now, we talked about why you should pay off your debt. Let's now go ahead and talk about the different methods to actually do this. The 2 most popular methods are the debt snowball method and the debt avalanche method. The debt snowball method entails paying off the debt with the smallest balance first and making your way up to the largest balance. This is perhaps the most popular method and is championed by Dave Ramsey, who is one of the biggest personal finance figures out there. And the reason being is that some people say it allows you to build momentum just like rolling a snowball. You pay off the first piece of debt and realize that paying off debt is actually doable, and you have more motivation to keep going and tackle the larger balances. On the flip side, there's the debt avalanche method, which prioritizes paying off debt with the highest interest rate first. Then, once you pay that off, you move on to the next largest interest rate, and so forth. The reason you would want to do this method is that mathematically, this saves you the most money. Both debt repayment methods have their proper place depending on the type of person you are, So I would look into both and figure out which way you think is personally better for tackling your debt. Now that you've found your way out of debt, the next money milestone to accomplish in your 20s is to save $10,000. The purpose of doing this is now that you have an income and aren't burdened by debt, your goal is to not spend all your money and go right back into debt to forward your lifestyle. By setting this goal of saving $10,000, you're going to have to force yourself to save some of your money, which will teach you how to live below your means and is important for when you need to save larger amounts, like for a down payment. The $10,000 amount is slightly arbitrary because the goal is to more focus on the actual action of saving, but I wouldn't make the goal much lower because you want to make it an actual challenge where you have to make decisions to get there. In talking about decision making, the next money milestone to accomplish in your 20s is to get started with and figure out budgeting. This is an important step in anybody's personal finance journey because it makes you analyze and look at the amount of money coming in and the amount going out. Now, there's plenty of ways to budget and different methods to follow, and I'm not sure there's a one-size-fits-all solution. However, I have made a video on exactly how I budget and provide a free template in another video up here, but for this video, I'll give you a brief explanation on how to do this. First step I would take is to take a list of your bank statements and credit card statements and look at all your previous transactions in the last month or two. Go ahead and categorize each expense into one of two buckets. Your needs, which is likely housing, groceries, transportation, healthcare, and utilities. And then the other bucket is your wants, which is pretty much everything else. Now, one rule that a lot of people like to follow is the 50-30-20 rule, which could be a whole video on its own, but pretty much it says to spend 50% of your money on your needs, 30% on your wants, and 20% goes into savings and investing. This is generally a good rule of thumb to follow because it means that you're giving yourself enough wiggle room to have savings and investments in case you lose your job or for some other reason aren't able to work. You'll be covered for at least a little bit of time, as well as it helps you to save for retirement. This brings me to my next money milestone to accomplish in your 20s, and that is to start investing. One of the easiest ways, and the place I would personally look to start investing, is in retirement accounts. Here in the US, we have two main types of retirement accounts that people use: the 401k and the Roth IRA. The 401k is an employer-sponsored retirement account that allows you to put some of your income into the account before it gets taxed, and it grows in the account untaxed until you begin to withdraw it without penalty after the age of 59 and a half. Also, it's quite possible your employer offers an employer match, which pretty much just means for every dollar you contribute up to a certain percentage of your income, that they will put in another dollar, which basically means you're just getting free money. Not every employer is like this, so you need to look into your own situation, but this is the place I personally would look to start. The other type of account is a Roth IRA, which is kind of like the opposite of the 401k, in that you contribute to it with post-tax money, but when you go to withdraw at 59 and a half, the money is completely tax-free, which means you could potentially have millions of dollars that you don't have to pay any taxes on. If you want a further deep dive on these two accounts, I have a video on them that I will link down below that you can check out after this video. When it comes to investing, the general advice is to invest for the long term. Don't get too caught up in the ups and downs with the market and start trying to time when you're buying and when you're selling. There will be lots of ups and downs, but the general trend is that the market grows over time. So you never really know when it will boom and when it will go down. So what I personally do is just invest every month and plan to leave my investments in it for many years to come. Investing can be a complicated topic, so please do your research before putting any of your money anywhere. This brings us to our next money milestone, which is to build credit responsibly. In your 20s, you likely will, if you haven't already, get your first credit card. Credit cards are a divisive topic here in the personal finance space because when used irresponsibly, they can lead to a lot of financial problems, but when used correctly, can be a great financial tool. This is a warning that if you're a person who can't use credit cards without blowing money that you don't have, you should not be using them. However, if you can pay your credit card off in full every month, you do more than just earn credit card points, you actually build your credit score up. Having a high credit score is a great thing to have for life because it allows you to get lower interest rate when it comes to things like mortgages. Simply by having a good credit score, you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a loan, so you really want to practice good credit habits and build your score up responsibly in your 20s. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy this one over here about why net worth explodes after $100,000. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, and thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.